Jonako Mitakuyo Yase. Today I'm going to show you like a few more ways you can modify verbs and some basic tenses. Now the first thing I can show you surrounds these three prefixes, ma, na, and wicha, which I can illustrate with the verb waku, to give. This is essentially showing how to transfer an action, and you can do this with any verb. But you take those three prefixes, ma referring to I, na referring to you, and wicha referring to he, she, it, anyone else. And you prefix them onto the verb. Essentially, if the verb starts with an A, then you just put M, N, or WIC added onto the verb. If the second letter is an A, you cut off that first consonant and replace it with those. And in any other circumstance, you just write ma, na, and wicha added to the beginning of the verb. And essentially now this becomes maku, I give, naku, you give, wichaku, he, she, it, they give. And all you gotta do is put the one ma, na, or wicha that corresponds best with the recipient of the action and just say it after that. Now the next set of words that I can show you are these, and these kind of work in the same way that the ones that I gave you in the nouns video did. Mia, I, nia, you, unkia, we, ia, he, she, it, and iepi, they. I know that I've said in the past that the P thing only goes on the ends of verbs, and this is a pronoun, but that can be changed in certain circumstances, but I haven't figured that out yet, so at the very least just don't do that unless either I show you that you can or your dictionary shows you that you can. But these essentially are what you use to refer to a person as an indirect object, or the recipient of the action that is being done by the direct object. Essentially here is a good illustration. Mishulka kenia wahakya. Kind of silly, but it gets the job done for what I'm trying to say here. Mishulka is the direct object, my dog. Nia is the indirect object, you, and then wahakya is the action, which of course the ke shows that the direct object, my dog, is doing to you. Wahakya being destroyed, so my dog destroyed you. However, if you were talking about like an object being an indirect object, such as in this, Mishulka keni ozohe wahakya, my dog destroyed your pants, you would just use the ones from the noun video instead. However, if you're just talking about like a random object that isn't owned, it's just a random inanimate object, just put the object. You don't need any identifiers beyond that in the place of the indirect object. That's all that's necessary there. Now, how do you show me transferring an object instead of an action? Basically with this, ni uzohe kilewaku, I will give you your pants, which can also be reversed around the other way, uzohe kile ni waku. And of course the ni can be replaced with the person's name if it's, you know, in a situation where that makes sense. But yeah, essentially in this one the direct object is kind of implied and doesn't need to be said, the person performing the action, and it's pretty simple in that sense. Now another thing that you can do is using these prefixes. Maya, I think. Naya, you think. Ia, he, she, it, they think. Onto a verb, essentially with the same rules that I've already covered, used again. And essentially, this now becomes like I think, you think, he, she, it, they think that this action will happen. Although, if you are kind of imploring of someone that they do something, you would use that, the Maya, Naya, Ia thing, but you would put another word, Walla, at the very end of the sentence, which would essentially be modified with the ma, na, or wicha at the beginning. In this one weird case, it doesn't contract, you just write mawala, nawala, wichawala. Now this is one I'm sure people are annoyed that I haven't covered. Shni, you put this at the end of the sentence, and it now turns that into a negative, that what you're saying is not true. Now I'm sure this is starting to drive people crazy, like with all of the, you can put all this stuff on the end. What if they compound? Well, essentially anything that modifies tense comes first. The shni, turning it into a negative, would come second, and anything else comes third. And I have not yet seen any circumstance where you would go beyond 3, so we're just going to leave it at that. But now, these are some kind of general command type terms that you would put at the end of a sentence. Yo, yeah, and po, pi, yo and po being the masculine, yeah and pi being the feminine. And the yo and yeah is used when you are giving consent to a group, to others below you, to subordinates, to tell them to do something. Although generally the consent thing goes a little bit farther beyond that. You would not only be using this to say yes, you can do that, but it kind of gets like a little bit weirder in this language, almost like an imperial kind of thing. Oh, you may approach me, in a manner that, if you call it consent in English, it kind of sounds really narcissistic, but that is the kind of thing that that does. And then basically you use the yo and yeah if it's other people, and you're using po and pi if you're including yourself in the group of people. You know, let's go, we're gonna go do this now. It's something of that nature. Then you have yeto and nito. You put this on the end of a sentence in a more of a polite type of thing. It kind of turns it into a polite request. Whatever it is that you had just said, you know, would you please hand me my folder? And then you have this word, yushtan, which you suffix into the verb to make it what we call present perfect tense, which is essentially saying this just now happened. Now this one is kind of used for past tense, although I don't know if this really works the same way as past tense in English, in the sense where if you're talking about the past, you have to use this. But this is just kind of a helpful indicator that, you know, what I'm saying happened in the past, not now. And I won't tell you what it literally means so it doesn't confuse you, but essentially you put nahachi at the beginning and shnihani at the end, and it essentially comes out to mean more or less not now, before, even though that's not exactly what it literally translates to. But if you remove the hani and just have the nahachi at the beginning and shni at the end, you're telling someone not yet, don't do this yet. Okay, so that's all we have for this one, and the next one's going to be interrogatives and question words. So me be Oglala Nakota Hohe.